Theory Games, podcast where we bring you the latest in gaming news, indie reviews, and everything else under the sun. My name is Kendall, and I'm here with my co-host
Tony, aka King Eagle.
Carlito Hernandez.
Okay, okay, you came with the
Cool.
classic nickname, yep, and it's timeless, absolutely timeless. And of course, we missed an Eagles game for this, so I ain't even got to comment about that. You know, that's preseason.
Who is we?
I mean, fair. I see them eyes, you motherfucking multitasker. Goddamn shame. I'm sorry, audience. I'm sorry that you're not getting the full Eclipse Theory experience. It's been
You couldn't
30
handle my
seconds.
full attention.
Damn. 30 seconds and he's talking down to you already. I don't know why you're here, but no, stick around because we have a great episode today. We've been doing a lot of Marvel content recently, like talking about the Doctor Doom news with Robert Downey Jr. and everything. And I feel like on the heels of that, we kind of want to steer toward the gaming side of things with Marvel because they have some interesting stuff going on in gaming, and we are a gaming podcast, if you've forgotten. So with that being said, I wanted to kind of talk about the slate of Marvel games that are coming out because there's a lot of stuff I feel like we just like, I won't say not talking about, but like not really like even putting it in the conversation, you know? But before we get to that, I just want to take a moment to talk about the Marvel Rivals beta that recently took place. Of course, I am the only person on the podcast that got a chance to play. We tried to get the codes to everybody, man. James did get to play, but unfortunately, some Eagles swooped down and stole his computer, so he can't actually join us today. But you know, we'll get his impressions. I want to do an episode where we talk about like hero shooters too, in the same sense that we're about to talk about Marvel games. But just to give like my surface level impressions, Marvel Rivals might have something, man. Like this game, first of all, if you've seen footage of Marvel Rivals, you know that it's Overwatch. You know, like this is one of those games that takes its inspiration, wears it on its sleeve very boldly. And it's pretty like, I mean, Overwatch kind of invented and defined that genre. So you can't really get away from that if you're making a hero shooter. The furthest I've seen is stuff that veers toward other games, like games that I've talked about how Concord kind of feels like an Overwatch meets Apex to me. But Marvel Rivals is Overwatch. Like that game feels like Overwatch. The objectives are the same, you know, like the feel is different in the way that, you know, how that goes when you have a game that's based on another game. But you'll kind of jump into it and kind of get the feel of it pretty quickly. It's just about learning characters and things kind of make sense and click pretty well with Marvel Rivals. I want to dig a little deeper, but just to kind of get everybody else involved in the conversation, have y'all checked out anything as far as like the gameplay footage from the beta and everything like that?
Yeah, so I've seen like footage because I watch a lot of Twitch, especially when I'm working. I have Twitch on the background. I do stuff on my computer a lot of times, and I've seen a lot of the gameplay for Marvel Rivals. I saw a lot of people with different streaming, and a lot of the Overwatch streamers that I watch actually when Marvel Rivals dropped. Somehow they all got, well, not somehow, they probably got paid for sponsorships, but they all had access codes to Marvel Rivals, so
Right.
they all took a break from playing Overwatch to play Marvel Rivals. So I got to see a good little portion of it.
Nice. Yeah, it was one of those closed betas there where it was like, okay, we want to make it uh a VIP club like that everybody can kind of get into. Like you got your friends got in. How do I get in? You know what I mean? Like that sort of feel. But with that being said, Carl, before we jump to Tony, what's your hype level for it after watching the gameplay that you've seen?
Surprisingly, it looks like kind of mid to me because like it's I know it's just a beta, so it's not right to judge on appearance, but it seems just like a lot of like clutter going on during the game. And like I said, and like you said, it's straight up like it's Overwatch with Marvel characters like Star Lord's a Tracer, then you have Penny Parker who's basically Diva. So like it's and I don't know, it's something about the third person perspective that's kind of like
throws you off.
Throws me off. It feels like looks like Fortnite, but plays like Overwatch, and I'm not sure how to feel about it.
Okay, that's absolutely fair. I'm gonna come back to that combo, especially the Penny Parker thing, because that's an interesting combo that I want to have. But Tony, checking in with you, same question, man. How much have you seen of Marvel Rivals, and like, where's your hype at for it?
I mean, I watched a little bit of gameplay of it. It's kind of one of the things where like I felt the same way about that I did like the first season of Game of Thrones. It's like I watched the first 3 episodes and I went, I'm gonna like this. I don't need to see no more.
Okay.
So I didn't like. I told you I didn't watch Game of Thrones until the shit was done, and then I watched it all the way through because I was willing to wait on it. With this, it was like I seen 10, 15 minutes of gameplay, and I'm like, this looks like it's not going to piss me off like Overwatch did. And I get to play as Marvel characters. If I can, Doctor Strange in a hero shooter sounds fun as fuck to me.
Right.
So I was, I'm hyped for it.
Okay.
It's just down to getting time to play it.
Yeah, I mean, getting access, of course, but yeah, that makes sense. No, that's interesting, and I'm kind of glad that I have y'all here with the perspective of people that haven't tried it yet and kind of still got that outside perspective, especially now because there are a lot of people playing it. Like we do have a lot of gameplay. We were kind of drip feeded it to where the idea came out and it's like, oh, that sounds amazing, and then you start to see gameplay and you do have that first impression of the uncanny valley of the it's not quite Overwatch, right? Like it does look like the multiverses of Overwatches almost, where
I
it
can't
doesn't
believe it's not Overwatch.
right. It feels like, you get that feeling when you look at it, especially with the third person. And then on top of that, you see what happens when you take Marvel characters now in this day and age and you don't completely MCUify them. It's going to have a little bit of uncanny valley there too, which is weird because these people are fictional. And they've been looking different for like a hundred years, damn near. Like
The
some of
Avengers
them,
game.
yeah, right. That is like the clear cut
And look,
example.
that
Even
game was
Guardians,
mid, but the whole like uproar about the way they looked was totally ridiculous.
overblown, but it just like started it off on like yeah, I'm not interested. That on top of like live service game was kind of just like the nail in the coffin for Avengers.
I tried, man. I tried so hard. I
we're,
finished the
we're
story, but
I respect it. I didn't. The story was I had the fun that I had, like, and I could see what was there, but it kind of just made me think, like, man, imagine if y'all just focused on this. But
oh,
yeah, that's a whole conversation.
I want to jump in right fast, right? I do like for Marvel Rivals. I would
Yeah,
say looking at it doesn't like look exciting, but I
right.
like playing it may be a whole different story.
That's what I wanted to get to. Like, I'm interested to hear y'all impressions because for me, it was like, okay, I need to get my hands on it. Like, that was always the thing that I was thinking. Like, I need to feel how it feels. I can tell you that it clicked, and I mean, it was a beta, right? It kind of felt like a beta, right? So it should, there's things that I would change, like maybe a splash on the screen when you get a kill that's a little bit more prominent, or some little stuff like that, like the weightiness of like the impact of your bullets, stuff that is just going to improve over time. Like you see, Overwatch took to Overwatch 2, and they revamped the whole gun sounds and like feel, and like that's a big thing. You're gonna have that, as they work their way, especially since this beta was probably there to find out what they needed to fix for the full game. So even I haven't experienced the full breadth of our Marvel Rivals, and even people that play the beta don't really know exactly what it's going to be like. But having played it and putting a little bit of time in, like I ranked up. I know I didn't go as hard as James did because he played both betas. Um, there is a lot to that game that makes it feel unique. First off, the characters will throw you off because yes, you'll have stuff like, oh yeah, you got Penny Parker's basically Diva, but nah, Banner is more like Diva because Bruce Banner is out here shooting with his little pistol and then he hawks up and like that's his Diva transformation. And it's
That,
oh,
very
that's
different.
fire.
Yeah,
that's
right.
true.
Like little
Yeah.
stuff like that where it's like stuff that makes sense for Marvel, but also fits in the Overwatch. And then stuff that doesn't work for Overwatch that works in Marvel Rivals. You'll hear people talking about how good Rocket Raccoon is. Fun fact, he's a fucking healer, which is like wild to think about. But yes, it works
I
so
would have
well.
expected Junkrat.
He's a right. He's a super aggressive healer. Like he has like the bullet power. My cousin was like he's Punisher, but with heals. So he can like shoot heals in a Baptiste type of way. But he can also put down a little turret type of thing. It's not a turret, but it's like what what's his
Ilar.
ass? No. What Torbjorn used to have in
Ah,
Overwatch, where he could drop
the
armor. So
armor. Okay.
so he'll put down this little turret thing. Not only does it revive a person, but it drops armor continuously. Like there's stuff like that. Like Loki is also a healer, and he drops like a barrier that absorbs enemy damage and turns it into his healing. He also puts clones down that you can swap into at any time. You know what I mean? Like there's little stuff that one feels like Overwatch but remix, like pivoted off on a different direction, or like they take elements of different characters and put them different places. Like the Diva Bomb, Wanda has that, right? Like, but Diva's mechanic, Banner has that. So there's so many different like remixed characters and like cool little implementations of powers and stuff like that.
I'm
So
glad you
who's
brought
the
up
DPS in this?
Oh
Like the
man,
soldier.
Punisher.
yeah, that's
Okay.
100% Punisher. Yeah, which makes perfect sense.
It does, but
yeah. Punisher has like he's capable of putting down like a turret thing where you can like he's the DPS soldier, but he's got a Baptiste turret basically, or a Bastion turret type of deal, where he can just sit there and like melt you if you let him.
that sounds OP.
Oh,
It's
but
not
yeah.
though, because you can flank the fuck out of it. Like, there's like ways to get around, but it can be like he can get out there cooking.
Some of the gameplay I see in Punisher, I'm like, first of all, I was thinking like, since when Punisher had this kind of equipment, but like he was like the guy who played Punisher, he was like destroying people.
The shooters are shooting with my dog, so yeah, that's definitely happening. There's certain characters that are like, people are cooking with them. We can't really figure it out just yet because we're still in beta. We still working out. People probably need to get nerfed. Storm's alt, bro, she just becomes a tornado and just fucks you. Like she just fucks your whole team. Like I'm getting player of the games off like my third match because I'm just like, oh, everybody's MVP with Storm. Let me try Storm. And man, but it counterbalances because she's very slow. Like you can fly and stay in the air with her. Like you can just kind of fly around, just fucking people.
But she's
up.
a hoverer.
Right, exactly. And that's like how you counterbalance it. Like there's so many little things where I can tell there's like care put into it, even if it's like feels derivative because the clear inspiration is Overwatch. So
some of the stuff that I saw that, in my opinion, just by looking at it, was OP. Was for one group because he has like 3 May walls. He can just throw walls up everywhere and just block everybody off. I was like, oh, that seems ridiculous. If you have a good team comp, like you just separate everyone. It was Groot, Star-Lord, because he's just like blinking everywhere and melting motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, and Punisher, because like I said, he has a Bastion turn. And just he gets behind and like his weapons. Like I see, he was like melting people down.
They're pretty beastly. Like I will say, like I said, there's some balancing that we're gonna have to do. I don't even know who I would say is OP. Like Star-Lord, yes. If you get the right Star-Lord, I was watching someone play a Storm, and oh my God, you feel like you're up there, oh, I'm in the sky, nobody's gonna get me, and then you just like he's got that tracer, type of style of shooting, and he would just pick you apart if he really gets nice. And then he's got the basically a Soldier 76 type of alt where he just goes ham and he's like flying around, darting. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I like, there's characters that I like Venom is pretty cool. Venom is one of those characters where either you're a beast Venom or you're ass. Like you can't get nothing going.
There's no in between.
It'd be like that. And I ain't going to tell y'all which one I am most of the time. It's not my main, but that's all I'll say.
So it's like Winston.
You know what I mean?
You're the trash of Winston or you're really good.
Man, you got to understand how this person attacks and like exactly what your kit is and what you can do when. He's got a heal that is more effective the less health you got. You know what I mean? Like little stuff like that just kind of adds up to a game that feels pretty fully featured at this point already. So I can't speak highly enough, honestly, of it. Just off the little taste that I got. But I just wanted to take my time to get that little Marvel Rivals praise in, since I did get a chance to get into the beta. Anything else that y'all might be like curious about though, like, just based off the little bit that I played?
I got 2 things. One thing I want to mention is I forgot about Magneto too. For some reason, Magneto has a sword, and that sword is crazy powerful.
You know why he has a sword? Because all he got to do is pull whatever metal he needs to sharpen off, and he's got a sword. Like, I think that's what he does.
That's exactly what he does. That's
makes sense though.
He makes it, but you're Magneto. Why are you trying to get in people's face with a sword? Like, I know,
it's interesting.
Like it reminds me of that old like little picture of the person with the tank, where they're on top of the tank. And they're like, come here so I can stab you because they're holding a little bayonet. I'm like, wait, what are you doing? You're a tank.
Yeah. He when he alts, he throws something, so it makes a little bit more sense.
I wanted to mention that because the sword is really good. He's really good. The sword's really good. It was odd to me that was his move they gave him. But I want to mention just the cast in general. I love because they really went and got some obscure characters, which I really enjoy. People who don't know, I'm a huge X-Men nerd, and I love the X-Men. So when I saw Luna Snow in the game, I was like, "What the Luna Snow? When's the last time this chick ever been mentioned?" So I thought that was really cool that they put like little offbeat characters like that like in the game.
I thought so. Luna Snow is a weird one because I thought she like originated in the game and then became a comic character. Is that true or like I'm not super hip, but I think she came from like a mobile game or something.
It's possible. I don't know the origin story. I just know I seen her in the X Men's back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, nah. The fact that like they kind of just bring the whole squad together, like having Magic in the game is pretty dope. That's another one that like Magic is cool and she gets her shine sometimes, but not often enough. A lot of people would say like we don't see her in the MCU or like in many of the X-Men movies. She was in New Mutants, which if y'all want to let me go off on like a mild tangent, New Mutants was not that bad, bro. In fact, I liked New Mutants, bro. I
Oh,
actually enjoyed the fuck out of that movie. Yep, I did. I did. I think we were burnt out on
You
X-Men
got it,
shit.
man.
I think we were burnt out on. I don't have like. I'm not even going like.
oh.
I enjoyed that movie straight up. Like I don't have too much bad to say, but I'm often the minority when it comes to these things. I just wanted to throw that out there for all my
Well,
New
you're a
Mutants
black guy. We're
fans.
ready to hear. Of course you are.
Rise up,
Yeah,
rise up.
I gotta make sure I don't take the topic off to the rails right now. I gotta keep my focus because you about to lead me
Man.
somewhere. So let me
I'm about to
say,
get out his character.
I know
Listen, man.
we about to. I'm about to almost
We
put this whole
if
podcast
we
on the topic. I gotta
if
sit
we
that
want to
out.
talk about X-Men Apocalypse, that's a different conversation. But New Mutants was not that bad. New Mutants was really not. But
You know.
before we get derailed on like X-Men movies and me defending yet another thing I don't even like that much. I just don't hate as much as I'm supposed to. Um, let's kind of talk about like where Marvel is going, man, because I feel like I almost want to make this episode about superhero games in general because that's one of those things where it's like it should work. It should always work. And it never like not never, but it's such a hard
It's a
thing to
low
make work.
percentage.
Yeah, like Carl, stop making that face. I get to misspeak for like 2 seconds. All right. It doesn't never work. We got the Arkham series, we got the Spider-Man games, but like you also have all the bullshit that's happened. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's so many times where it doesn't work.
Suicide
And
Squad.
and so many, right, so many times where they don't take a shot because the impression is that it doesn't work. There are a lot of times when there's great games for superheroes, and it's like one of those weird things that it's like anime. Anime should work for games, but for some reason, it becomes licensed games instead of like quality games. I feel like we're at a turning point where we got the Arkhams and we got the Spider-Mans and the archetypes exist, and we kind of starting to get some interesting titles down the pipeline. So if y'all don't mind, I'm just gonna kind of go down the list of things that we know are coming from Marvel in particular, because we're talking about rivals today, and we'll just kind of gauge our hype levels and how promising the idea sounds. Starting with Marvel's Iron Man game, which people keep forgetting is happening, but there is an Iron Man game
Is that
coming.
motive?
Yes, it is Motive Studio. They made the Dead Space remake. They made Star Wars Squadron. I really love the Dead Space remake. I don't know how much that translates to what they're doing here necessarily, but I know they know how to make something with quality at least. And Iron Man just should have a game. Like these are just characters that should be gamified. That seems like it works to me.
He's been
That's a
gamified
tough game.
before.
No, I'll say that's
Yeah.
yeah. It didn't work great, but it was a tie-in game, and back when like movie tie-ins were a thing, and then there's like
So
the VR shit.
yeah, I was gonna mention the VR thing because I've heard that was pretty solid. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah,
mhm.
I ain't give it a shot, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's hard. He's hard to do in a game. Like Iron Man is difficult.
Is he
Which
really
is
though?
stupid. Like that makes
He's
no sense.
he seemed like he should be easy.
He
He's got
seems like it, but
guns.
yeah, but you basically, if you're not making it like an on-rails shooter, then what? Because then it has to turn into an open world game. Like people are really pigeonholed into those two things.
I don't know
And
why.
if you're Iron Man, you kind of have to be open world because like it's kind of like Spider-Man. A
Okay,
lot of
yeah.
the a lot of the fun in Iron Man is flying around and being Iron Man.
See,
Yeah.
I disagree with that. He doesn't have to be open world because not even Spider Man. We're spoiled with open world Spider Man, but there's plenty of old Spider Man games that are amazing that are nowhere near open world. I'm going back to the PS1 Spider Man. That was really good, not open world. And then Ultimate Spider Man on PS2 and GameCube. That is actually I think one of the best Spider Man games, other than the one Insomniac did. then that's not open world either. We have to fight Venom.
I
And
thought that
whatnot.
one open. Yeah, Ultimate was open world.
Not that I remember. You sure?
Yeah, Ultimate was open world.
You had a New York to play around in, like
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't huge because of the technical limitations, but it was definitely an open world game.
Okay.
Yeah,
I stand corrected on that one.
And it's like the barrier for like what is.
But yeah, PS1 was just flying around like the rooftops and shit. Yeah, that was like
you fight Mysterio, you punch him, his health bar just depletes.
Like most of that game was inside.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like you don't necessarily. I feel like there's a clear-cut case for an Iron Man game that has open world sections, but I also want you to be like flying from point A to point B doing shit. I think that's how you do that. Where like, I don't know, just like think about Spider-Man when you're like chasing someone. You got a whole New York to play around with. But for Iron Man, I kind of want it to be like a trajectory you're on, like almost like a not like an on rails type of deal, but almost.
You basically want outside to be a hub world, essentially, where it's just like, this is where I am. This is the next mission to go.
No, but like, yes, you know what I mean? Like, that is like what makes sense to me in my mind, as far as like the flight, because I know that's what you mean, like flying around. Iron Man is supposed to be fast and like, flying is so essential to that character. And you got to be able to cover a lot of ground for it to really feel right. But again, these are limitations that we put on it as fans. Like you think that a lot of these characters would be doing a lot more. I do feel like you would want to capture that, like, break the sound barrier feeling with Iron Man, and it's hard to do that in an open space where you gotta like target a spot on a map. I feel like it's a lot easier if you're going like if you're like imagine like a racing game almost like you're going from point A to point B. You have a track that you're following. It doesn't have to stay on rails the whole game, but like little segments like that, like a Panzer Dragoon type vibes. I don't know. I think it would work better.
A good example would be Until It Got Boring. But you remember the Avengers game that came out? That was fun for about like 3 days, and then you realize every mission was the same on repeat.
Wait, you said the Avengers game?
Yeah.
Oh, the online one. Yeah, the one we talking about.
Yeah. That like Iron Man, that was fun. Like the characters, how they were in that game, they were fun. And the story was spot on. Like
the missions were just repetitive as all
hell.
Yeah,
it was just missions repetitive as all hell. And that's why the game fell. But like the customization and stuff, so if they could do something like that, but not make it like stall out, like the way Iron Man played in that was, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool.
Like Thor, everybody controlled really well. Like it was fun to move around with them. Just it was boring.
Now, I didn't play a ton of Avengers. Was it like mission based, or was it you go, find your? Okay, yeah, because I remember it being mission based. That's kind of what I mean.
It's like the helicarrier was kind of the hub, and then you would select your message from the war room, and then you would go down into your mission.
Yeah, I'm honestly good with honestly a mission based Iron Man game. It kind of makes sense for like Iron Man being so. He's not super military, but he leans that way more so than anything else. Like I could see him having like Jarvis dispatching him to go do something specific. You go. I feel like that kind of works better than open world for Iron Man, personally.
I agree with that. Actually, I think that take works best for like Iron Man. Like instead of flying from United States to Algeria because he can. He's in his helicarrier, or he's at Avengers Tower, or just play Penthouse, and he's like, oh, somebody's like doing some random shit. The Mandarin's doing this over here. Oh, let me go fight Fing Fang Foom because it's a dragon, and I fight dragons for some reason.
It's gonna be very interesting. Like there's a lot you can do with Iron Man. And then I feel like people kind of, like I said, I feel like we limit ourselves with that dude because there's almost too much possibility. So we're gonna have to wait and see what that one turns out to be.
But speaking about Iron Man, it's gonna be, I think one of the reasons it'll be, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I personally feel like Iron Man has trash villains. He has a handful of decent ones, but most villains are trash. And having like a good cast of people to fight when you're doing a game, that helps makes the game good.
That makes sense. That's why Spider-Man and Batman have the best game series. That makes a lot of sense.
Two best rogues galleries in comics.
Yeah. But honestly, man, that's why we need a company with like some love for this character who can make a Whiplash fun to fight. You know what I mean? Or like these honestly B-tier ass villains. Like Mandarin is cool I would take him as like the main villain for sure. But yeah.
Which Mandarin are you getting? Are you getting the actual Mandarin with the magic rings, or are you
Yeah,
getting
we're not
like the
doing the
MCU
Trevor
Mandarin?
Slattery. We're not getting that
Nah,
motherfucker.
MCU Mandarin was in Shang-Chi. He was not in fucking Iron Man 3 or whatever. So I'll take that
Talking
dude.
about a waste of an actor.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
got Ben Kingsley for that shit.
They were hilarious for leaning that hard into it. I don't care what nobody says.
And he was dope.
Terrible.
He was dope when he was like, we thought he was the Mandarin. He
Yeah,
was fire as fuck. And then
yeah.
they pulled the rug out from under us.
I think if the rest of Iron Man 3 had been good, then we would have been rocking with it. But yeah. It wasn't trash, but it wasn't great. So
it was better than Thor 2.
it was better
That's
than
all
Thor
that
2.
matters.
Is that
Everything's
the
better
bar?
than Thor 2.
Is that the bar?
That's the bar. You just have to clear Thor 2.
All right, well, hey man, good for MCU for clearing that hurdle fucking 38 times so far.
There you go. So you set the bar low, you'll never be disappointed.
This is facts. This is apparently facts. All right, man. Speaking of big returns, we're gonna talk about Marvel's Wolverine now. We haven't had a Wolverine game in a long time, and it felt like we was getting a lot of them at one point, or just a lot of Wolverine's presence, I guess. But Insomniac making a Wolverine game, there's just like knock on wood, all that. This can't be bad. Like this is gonna be a great game. It's gonna be a bang. And I don't care what we get from it. Like, they can do whatever they want to, for real. But I don't know if you guys have preferences, like mission based, like we were just talking about.
I would like Wolverine to play like it's gonna sound weird, like a Devil May Cry or Bayonetta plays. Like when you just select your Bayonetta 3 especially, you just like select your level and he goes there. The level is like really massive, and you can spend hours in that level. Once you're done with it, you go back to the hub world. I would think Wolverine would work best like that because explore a lot the whole level, find all your little extra stuff that you like that side missions you can do in that little spot, and then once you're done, you leave.
But that's
interesting because I would want Wolverine to play like a forgotten game that shouldn't be forgotten, and we should get a fucking sequel, but we never will, which is Days Gone. Like that whole world is actually like without the zombies and shit. That's kind of Wolverine's aesthetic.
Yeah, I feel it.
So I would want to see that because and you can make it smaller. Like it doesn't have to be open world because I think doing Wolverine open world kind of doesn't really make sense, even though he's got a motorcycle and shit. But that's kind of like a secondary thing that kind of became popularized with the movies, really.
Right.
But yeah, I think something smaller, more contained with that like Days Gone aesthetic. And it kind of looks that way in the trailer, with him just chilling in the bar in the flannel joint, and it looks like real rural and backwoods. But just keep it violent. And I swear to God, we're in 2024, 2025, whenever this thing comes out, if we don't get like a dynamic healing factor function like we did in the PS2 fucking era, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh, it's gotta be like
pissed.
They're gonna do their thing. I 100% believe it.
I don't doubt that they will, but I keep thinking about that PS2 version and how fire that shit was, and I need to see that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, honestly, I didn't even think about it, but that's actually gonna make or break the game. Like, is this man gonna be? I mean, not really, but you know what I mean.
That kind of is though. Like,
it's the little touches that's gonna make the game like that high, that much higher.
Yeah, because I've come to terms with video game healing and how that shit works, and it's all Wolverine shit. So I need to see Wolverine do Wolverine shit.
That is the extra step that makes you feel like Wolverine for real. And you can do a lot with that. So thinking about this makes me realize I'm not really that hung up on Iron Man, whether or not it's open, because I can always picture a game being open world on the low. Like I'm not gonna even front like I can't see Wolverine being a mercenary out here, for hire, just going from place to place, doing whatever he needs to do, picking up missions. I think you can make it make sense. I could easily see Wolverine being a linear, straight up like action adventure game. I think I would rather see that personally. Whereas when I say that I would rather see Iron Man be mission based, I don't really give a fuck. Give me an open world to go find my missions and it can be stuff going on. It literally changes nothing. I just want to fly around as Iron Man. That sounds awesome. For Wolverine, I really would be interested in a linear adventure. Like I think I would be interested in kind of like what you're saying, Carl, where it's like you got a playground to play around in, basically. Like you give me little sets that I can just fuck about. Like I just want to, because with Wolverine, man, all I really want to do is how creatively can I kill as much as possible?
That's
like
what I'm saying.
you
Like
know what
make
I
it like
mean?
Bayonetta. It's like make
Yeah,
it Bayonetta Wolverine.
and I can fuck with that. And respectfully to Insomniac, I've seen some of the leaked stuff. That gameplay between the stealth and the kills and the little bit that we've seen of that we weren't supposed to see, but just like the vague idea of what that game looks like is gonna be. Um, I would love to just be like, you drop me at the end of a woods and I got to go through, like just to see what like play through a mission, basically. I will. Hmm, Give me a Metal Gear Solid structure, like not five, but like give me one structure like Metal Gear Solid, basically. Like, think about
5
that.
might,
Oh,
like I said, smaller version of 5. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too. Like I said, we spitball. Man, give me a fucking. Just don't make it a strategy or a dating sim, and I'm good. Like, I don't give a
yeah.
fuck
I
what you
don't
doing.
like. I Marvel's Midnight Suns is fire, but
And
I didn't
yeah,
play it forever because I was thrown off by the genre. Like I wasn't expecting that.
and I
So
did play
don't
it.
fuck me up with the genre, man.
And
Just
I fuck with strategy games. I don't want Wolverine should not. I should not be taking turns in a Wolverine game. No, no. Hack slash. That's your bread butter. Okay. And we know that, and that's what we're getting. That's all. So basically, what I'm saying is everything I've seen, which is probably not even finalized, we were never meant to lay eyes on, is all I want. Like, just give me a Wolverine that has a creative set of
I
abilities
still
and a
haven't laid
combat
eyes
style,
on it.
and I respect that.
I
And
don't, I don't know what the fuck you talking about right now. What you
right,
what you saw? I'm like,
right. Stuff
sure.
has come out, and like I said, with respect, we're not going to encourage anybody to go see that because it's not finished and it's not like good looking. That's necessarily yet, you know what I mean. But you can get the idea of how they want Wolverine to play. There's a little bit of stealthiness to it too, along with the action, and it looks dope. Is my greater point? Like what we're getting is a Wolverine game. I just
You know
want
what
to
I
see
don't
how big
want? I
that's going to
just
be.
thought about this.
But
What I don't want is like some ham-fisted sense of smell thing where like the screen turns blue and the smell is yellow so you can track people. I don't want that. We ain't gotta get that cliched with it.
it's
let's
gonna happen.
It's
That's
going
I
to
the
know,
happen.
I know. I
I
just
need you to not yellow wall brick this. All right. It's just a thing. It's how we do this now. You just gotta live with it. All
Honestly, I
right.
don't mind the signposting with the yellow like
Me
that.
neither.
That don't take nothing away
But
from it.
this is your
It's
yellow
just so
bricks.
fucking cliched. That's my
Yeah,
problem. It's just like
exactly.
we know he can smell shit. There's got to be
Arkham
a different way to do it.
Arkham Asylum and The Witcher 3 did so much great and horrible for games. Like, because they taught us how to do this, bro. Like, they were like, oh, this is how you be a detective. Oh, okay. We're all gonna do
Everything's
and it
blue and white. Yeah.
I could not be less mad about it. Like I love it. It just makes it so simple. I know exactly how it's gonna work when I pick up a new game. Like, man, Aloy is doing shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Why is Joel able to hear you around the
The
wall?
walls. And
Who
now you're
cares?
blinking yellow rings like fucking
Right.
Sonic.
Right. Look, what? It doesn't make sense, but who cares? But I'm down for whatever they give me, is my overall point with that particular game. So I guess we can go ahead and move on to one that's actually fascinating to me. Low key, the next three, I would say, and I guess the last three, but last three confirmed ones are the reasons that I wanted to have this episode. And let's start with the big, wild, like conceptually heavy one, which is Marvel's 1943 Rise of Hydra. If you're not familiar, we've talked about it on the podcast before. It is the Captain America Black Panther game. It's set obviously in 1943, which means that you're playing as Captain America Steve Rogers and Black Panther grandfather, like T'Challa's grandfather, whose name I can't even remember. T'Chaka's dad, I think. I don't think you're T'Chaka, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, no,
You're getting racism.
yeah, you are absolutely getting racism. Like it's evident, you know what I mean? You're getting conflict between a Captain America that doesn't know the Black Panther, you know what I mean? It's going to be really fascinating.
What studio's making that one?
So if you're not familiar, Amy Hennig was like archetype of like the Uncharted series, pretty much Uncharted 1 through 3. She had some creative differences for Uncharted 4. She ended up having to like bouncing off from the studio. I know she kind of helped archetype what that game was as well, but this is her kind of her new studio, and this project, this Marvel 1943 project is so specific. Like it's such a specific idea that I'm like, this isn't like you can't make this as a cash grab or anything like that. I know these are big name superheroes or whatever, but you had an idea for this game. And the fact that it's set in this era, Uncharted, it's always had that Indiana Jones appeal almost, where it's like very like Americana almost, like it's got that charm to it. It feels older than it is. Like I don't know what time period that those games are even set in, but the fact that
Did they ever
she's
specify?
probably not for this very reason, so it can feel like a timeless piece of like that's how you make something feel timeless. You make it feel outside of time. Um, this is the opposite. The year is the name, but it really looks like it's gonna kind of have that charm to it that I know from her studios, and I just wanted to hear thoughts on this one because I know it's a very very weird and different concept.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Just from the trailer, I'm interested in the story because I think you hesitate to trust white people with these things, but there's an opportunity to tell a halfway decent story here.
Yep.
Because like that's just you're doing Black Panther in 1943 with fucking Steve Rogers. Like, can we all be honest about Captain America for a second? He's probably a racist. Like, it just is what it is.
I think they made a point to make it so that he was like anti what's going because Captain America
he's anti-Nazi, but that's still a dude. That's still a white dude from New York in the fucking 20s.
I feel you. He's the idea of what America's supposed to be. So when America be on bullshit, he be like, "Nah, what do you mean Iraqi war? We ain't supposed to be over there." Like,
so. I genuinely do think there's an opportunity to tell a really good story between the two characters, and y'all gonna get like people gonna get mad, but this should be some social commentary. You can't place this game in 1943 with a literal human American flag and a nigga from Africa. Just can't do it and not have no type of social commentary.
I don't think Black Panther got properly represented just now.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he did.
Tyler the Creator say, "I'm a nigga like you and you a nigga like me."
That motherfucker's a king, and you just downgraded him completely.
Michael Jackson the king too. He a nigga too. Nigga from Gary, Indiana.
Jay-Z taught us this. I'm not gonna argue with you, bro.
Still,
you're making points. You're making points. No, I 100% agree. Like I'm fascinated in all of the like. You can't waste this dynamic. You can't waste that conversation, especially in 2024 with the storytellers you have. Yeah. And with the way the cutscenes and everything looked when they showed off this game, you can tell what they're going for. Like, it's gonna be real. I've never seen facial animations this good. Also, if y'all haven't seen what this game looks like,
no, that shit looked ridiculous.
Yeah, like these motherfuckers
anger on niggas' face.
Yeah, they're acting like that's just crazy. It's pretty dope. Bouncing off of that, actually, we actually have a Black Panther solo game that's coming out pretty soon. That is Cliffhanger Games. It is an in-house studio at EA, so it's also being made by EA alongside the Iron Man game. And this one we don't know anything. And it's one of those where we can speculate all we want to, but we definitely have to go off of just like what we think a good idea of this is. Here's where I'll deviate from everything we've been saying. Open world. I want to walk around. I want to fuck around Wakanda. That's all I want to do. Like, make Wakanda just the hub
a lot
base.
Of fucking around in this episode.
Look, man, that's all we do, bro. What do you think video games are? They called them fuck around Motrons at first, but didn't really catch on. But that was a terrible joke. But
it was.
Thank you, Carl. That was for you specifically. But no. I feel like this game has a lot of potential to build up Wakanda. We're about to see a lot of Wakanda being built up with like the cartoon that they're coming out, the Wakanda, Eyes of Wakanda and everything. And it's a fascinating location. You can't really take away from that. Give me a neo-futuristic African city to do basically what I'm doing with Spider-Man in. Like Black Panther can run up walls, make a jump.
Give me that. Give me that with Arkham style stealth gameplay. I want to pull motherfuckers out the trees.
Yes.
So here's what my issue is. It's nothing with what you said. It's just I can't imagine like Wakanda having crime. All their problems come from outsiders coming to fuck their shit up. Everybody that's in Wakanda is like chill as fuck, and they all get along with each other. They have to end the
There you go.
minor internal squabbles and like
Concept.
the
There's
We
always
like,
people
opened
that
up
can't leave shit alone.
yeah.
as soon as we open up, okay, you can either make it so they open the doors up and somebody's coming around fucking up, or you can make it so they're having civil war about that concept, or somebody's infiltrated. You know what I mean? Like they're you can make it so that fucking Ultron robots popped up. Like it don't. You can make something happen. You know,
Yeah,
Spider Man. Why do the prisoners keep escaping in Spider Man?
That's
Like
because New York has terrible prison system, but like Wakanda
But
has the
it's-
best prison system
I
because hardly
promise
anybody's in
you.
jail.
I promise you, New York, for as bad as it is, you will never wander down the street and see three motherfuckers in orange jumpsuits and one of them with a rocket launcher just waiting. You
Are
never
you
gonna
really?
see
Are
it.
you really willing to go on that limb for New York?
No, I'm not really, but
All right,
I'm,
you see some shit in New York.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not
They
gonna
got
lie.
deaf rats who aren't scared of nobody in New
That-
York, and they got
That
like
might just
governors
be a
who.
regular Tuesday for somebody out there.
Oh
Look,
man,
this is all facts, but look, all I'm saying is Wakanda does not fucking exist. So let's just make up some shit to make it make sense. Like, you know how many times stuff has gone to hell in Wakanda? You know what I mean? Like, respectfully, and I mean this with all due respect. Rest in peace to Chadwick. I'm not trying to be this insensitive, but if like the king dies, that's all you need. Like, you know what I mean? Like power struggle. You know, like there's so much potential with a Black Panther game. And the more I'm talking about it, the more excited I am about this game. What we know nothing about. And again, it could be a cash grab EA bullshit game, or it could fuck around and be a Guardians, you know, like where it's, oh, this makes perfect sense now that I think about it, you know? I think there's high potential for that.
I mean, speaking of Guardians, quick tangent. I played it because when it was on Game Pass. I love the dialogue and how the characters act. I never finished it though because I
Me
don't know,
neither.
just the gameplay just got like, but how the characters spoke with each other, it felt like an actual like comic. I like that from Guardians, but
I think that's what
It
made
was a
it.
Guardian story, flat out.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the story is kind of the thing that everybody rants and raves about.
Yep. Just like the world building, character writing. I love the little Marvel universe they made for that game. It's really amazing how they kind of flesh that out. Get you little glimpses at other stuff happening, the way that they'd like to do. But I agree, I didn't actually finish it either. The gameplay was really unique and it wasn't bad. It just did not click for me either. So
Same here. Yeah, I just got
yeah,
like tired of it. And that's rare for me not to finish something. I'm no,
it
I try
is.
to like even if it sucks, I try to complete it, but I just kind of fell off that one completely.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think it's
So you're
probably
a
worth
better
going
man than
back.
me. Because once I decide something sucks, it ain't getting finished. You better than me.
Same,
It's a
same.
pride thing. I spent time on that.
That's why
see
for
it
me,
through.
it's a pride thing. I respect my time.
Y'all both making points, which is crazy. I don't even know how to
I know,
respond to that. But with that being said, man, I think it's a good time to come to our final game that I wanted to talk about for this episode, which is Blade. We kind of just learned about this one, and it was the most, somehow the most out of nowhere announcement out of all of them. We had a Captain America Black Panther game get announced, but that got leaked. This shit got announced at like a press conference, and we had no idea. We saw a black man getting his haircut, and he turned out to be Blade, and that shit was pretty fire. So we were having a really great episode, a great conversation surrounding all the Marvel games that are coming up, all of our impressions of what we're looking forward to the most. And then my internet just completely died on us. And I'm where we're hosting the video, so it's caused a whole bunch of problems for the rest of that day. So rather than get us all back together to just talk about one more game, I just want to touch on Blade, which is also coming from Arcane Lion, which is the studio behind Dishonored, Prey, which I really loved, and Deathloop, if you're familiar. We had a great interview with the star of Deathloop, you know, the person that played the main character on our website. But yeah, no, they make really great games, and we are really looking forward to seeing how Blade turns out, but we don't really know anything about that game. We have a title and like a brief teaser trailer that was dope because we didn't know it was Blade, but yeah, we don't really have much to go off of. So figure we will go ahead and wrap that one there. There's a lot of Marvel stuff coming in like the gaming space, surprisingly. So if you have anything that you're looking forward to, anything we left off, or anything we mentioned that you might just want to talk about, definitely leave us a comment below. Or hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. You already know where to find us, man. At Eclipse Theory on Twitter, Eclipse.theory on Instagram. And make sure you like and subscribe because we want to get that feedback from you guys. We want to make sure we are making the best show possible. I say it every single week, and I'll keep saying it until it's true. But until next time, I'm Kendall. That was Carl and Tony. And make sure you guys keep gaming. Take care.